Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Tina Jha. India is all ready to host Chinese President Xi Jinping, who will be visiting the country from 11th October to 12th for the second informal summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The summit will be held in the ancient coastal town of Mamallapuram in Tamil Nadu. During the summit, the two countries will exchange views on deepening India-China closer development partnership. Both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping are expected to continue their discussions on issues of bilateral, regional and global importance, and also use the opportunity to find broad pathways to deepen ties between the two neighbouring countries. In addition, trade, political relations and ways to deal with terror are also expected to be discussed in the Modi-Xi summit. Elaborate arrangements have been made ahead of the crucial summit in Mamallapuram, which has been virtually turned into a fortress. In Depth today presents a preview of the second informal summit between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi and the focus of the talks between the two leaders. We'll also tell you why Mamallapuram has been chosen as the venue for this crucial summit. About 50 kilometers from Chennai, Mamallapuram was popularly known as Seven Pagodas to European travelers of the 16th century. The coastal town is known for its unparalleled works of architecture, especially the rock-cut temples built by the Pallava rulers. But why has this heritage town been chosen as the venue for the second informal summit between Modi and Xi? Let's find out in this report. The second informal summit between Chinese President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be held in the coastal town of Mamallapuram, about 50 kilometers south of Chennai. It is believed that the venue of the meet was chosen because of Mamallapuram's historical connection with China. Famous for its sculptors and sculptures, Mamallapuram or Mahabalipuram, as it is commonly referred to, was established by Narasimha Varman of the Pallava dynasty in the 7th century AD. It was established as a seaport town by the Pallava king to carry out merchandise trade with other parts of the world. Narasimha Varman was hailed as Mamalan for his excellence in warfare, and hence the seaport town was named Mamallapuram. Narasimha Varman I, who ruled from 630 AD to almost 670 AD, was one of the very few kings to be good at trading and having partnerships with other countries, especially with the neighbours. Various studies by archaeologists and historians show that Mamallapuram had commercial links with countries like China, Sri Lanka and other Southeast Asian countries. Coins from China, Persia and Rome have also been found in Mamallapuram, which acted as the trade centre for the Pallavas. Available literature shows that the Pallava kings had a trade and defence relationship with China. Bodhidharma, one of the famous Buddhist monks in China, is believed to be the third son of a Pallava king who travelled from Kanchipuram through Mamallapuram to China in 527 AD. Chinese traveller Hyun Sang also mentions the seaport in his travel records. He is believed to have travelled around the Pallava kingdom of Narasimha Varman I and lauded the people's valour, conduct and excellence in education in his writings.
India is civilizationally very, very strong, very, very diverse. And first time when President Xi Jinping had come, he had gone to Gandhinagar. So he went to Gujarat, he saw the Western Indian culture. Prime Minister Abe has gone to Varanasi. So Prime Minister hosted him in Varanasi, showed him that North Indian culture. And Tamil culture, South Indian culture is very strong, very unique in India. And so it is very appropriate that President Xi Jinping has been invited to visit Chennai, South in India and Malappuram.
Another significant aspect to the Sino-Indian summit being held at Mamallapuram is that India and China have had trade relations dating back to the pre-Christ period. Historians say there is archaeological evidence of Sino-India trade links that date back 2,000 years. Pottery works belonging to the 1st and 2nd century BC have been excavated from the Tamil Nadu coast, indicating that the Chinese were involved in maritime trade in those days. Chinese coins dating back to these centuries have also been found in the state. Tamil literary work Pathinapalai talks of a Chinese ship dropping anchor on the east coast of Tamil Nadu. Some Chinese literature also make references to contacts with Tamil Nadu regions. Mamallapuram, which is part of Tamil Nadu's Kanchipuram district, is referred to in a Chinese text, Qian Hanshu, as Huangshe. Mamallapuram was a thriving port until the end of the 9th century AD, with the town being part of China's Silk Route and India's Spice Route. It is also believed that Kanchipuram's silk industry owes its genesis to the import of raw silk from China through Mamallapuram.
As everyone knows, even before 1000 years, we established trade contact with China, our Rajaraja Chola and other kings. So that the place is really ideal and it is a timely, and this sends message that we are back to the glorious days of the past when both the countries had good relationship.
The seed sown over 2000 years ago from Mamallapuram is one of the key reasons that brought India-China bilateral trade to reach $60 billion today, though deficit in China's favor. China is India's second largest trading partner in goods, and India is China's largest trading partner in South Asia. More than 1,000 Chinese companies are doing business in India. They've put in a total investment of $8 billion and created over 2 lakh local jobs. Over 2/3 of Indian companies operating in China are also making steady profits. The rich history of Mamallapuram's relations with China make it the perfect venue to host Modi's summit with President Xi. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. It is on the invitation of Prime Minister Modi that President Xi Jinping will be visiting India from 11 to 12 October. And ahead of the summit, Mamallapuram has been virtually turned into a fortress with unprecedented security arrangements. In our next report, we bring you the top agenda of the talks between the two leaders.
Renowned for its iconic rock temples and stone sculptures, Mamallapuram in Tamil Nadu is all decked up for the second informal meet between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and China's President Xi Jinping. The meeting between the two leaders will take place on October 11th and 12th, 2019. After the success of the first informal meeting between Modi and Xi in Wuhan in April 2018, this meet has raised the expectations of exploring new possibilities. Wuhan summit in 2018 opened the doors for high-level engagements at an informal level, a format in which the two leaders can engage in discussions on varying subjects. According to the government sources, trade, defense, security and stronger people-to-people ties, besides the larger global scenario, will feature prominently in conversations between Modi and Xi. On defense and security, the two sides would be looking to update and add to confidence-building measures to maintain peace and tranquility on the border and widening counter-terror partnership. The two armies are also expected to hold hand-in-hand exercise this year. India and China have had boundary disputes for decades. The two sides have already held over 20 rounds of border talks under the framework of the Special Representatives Dialogue set up to find an early solution to the border dispute. This time, reportedly, the two leaders will also form up the next round of special representative level talks. Besides this, government sources say negotiations over the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement may also figure in the talks. The RCEP, comprising the 10-member ASEAN bloc and 6 other countries, is engaged in negotiations for a free trade pact. With 2020 being celebrated for the 70th anniversary in diplomatic relations between the two sides, India and China may set up a high-level mechanism to monitor people-to-people exchanges.
In the formal summits, there is a lot of protocol, lot of formal statements, and the leaders do not get enough time to really discuss one-on-one the most important issues. So the informal format gives the leaders more time to really discuss the most critical, vital issues. And between India and China at present, there are some very critical issues. That what is the future of Asia, what is the future of the region, what will be the future of the relations between India and China.
However, no signing of documents is expected during the Chinese President Xi's visit, but both sides will issue separate statements after the summit. In fact, ahead of the Xi Jinping's visit, Chinese envoy to India, Sun Weirong, said that both nations should resolve disputes peacefully through dialogue at the regional level and jointly uphold peace and stability in the region.
As the only two major developing countries with a population of over 1 billion, and also as two important representatives of emerging economies, China and India relations transcend the bilateral dimension and assume a global and strategic significance. So the two sides should strengthen our strategic communication, enhance political mutual trust, give full play to the irreplaceable guidance of our two leaders on bilateral relations, and ensure that the accurate transmission and solid implementation of the consensus reached by the two leaders.
Modi will reportedly be accompanied by Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and NSA Ajit Doval, while Xi will bring with him a high-power team of Politburo member Yang Jieha and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Meanwhile, elaborate security arrangements have been made ahead of the Xi's visit. More than 5,000 police personnel have been deployed in and around the town and nearby places. Dozens of temporary police outposts have also been set up in and around the town, which will be under the watch of 800 CCTV cameras. The Special Protection Group and Bomb Disposal Squad personnel are keeping all the areas, including the group of monuments to be visited by the two leaders, sanitized. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The summit in Mamallapuram will be the second informal summit between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi. The first one took place last year when the top leadership of both India and China held unprecedented informal summit on 27th and 28th of April in 2018 in Wuhan, China. The Wuhan Informal Summit was a historic meeting which pointed out the direction for the development of bilateral relations between both India and China. The tradition of holding informal meetings started in 2014 when Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted President Xi Jinping at the Sabarmati Ashram in Gujarat. When China and India agreed to an informal summit in 2018, also known as the Wuhan Summit, both countries were at two different geopolitical and economical tangents. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping held their first informal summit in Wuhan on 27th and 28th of April 2018. Both leaders had then exchanged views on overarching issues of bilateral and global importance and elaborated their respective visions and priorities for national development.
Very good outcomes, because a very clear strategic direction was given by the two leaders to their armed forces. And we have seen that after Doklam, there have been one or two minor incidents where Chinese and Indian forces have come close contact. But by and large, it has been peaceful. Our borders are peaceful and tranquil, so that has been one of very major gains. And then what was said that there should be more people-to-people contact. On that also there has been progress.
Prime Minister Modi and President Xi reviewed developments in India-China relations from the strategic and long-term perspective. They agreed to significantly enhance efforts to build on the convergence through the established mechanisms in order to create the broadest possible platform for future ties. They also agreed that both sides have the maturity and wisdom to handle the differences through peaceful discussion within the context of the overall relationship, bearing in mind the importance of respecting each other's sensitivities, concerns, and aspirations. The Wuhan summit constituted strategic communication at the highest levels, with around 10 hours of conversation between the two leaders on three broad themes: domestic developments and direction of each country, how each country viewed the world and recent global developments, and the state of the India-China bilateral relationship.
That meeting in Wuhan was really to essentially give guidance to the two sides, the foreign policy establishment and also the military establishment, to essentially take measures which can develop better understanding between the two sides. I would say that Wuhan succeeded in bringing the temperatures down between the two countries in the post-Doklam era and opened the path towards essentially ensuring that whenever there are problems between the two countries, there are channels of communications open which can manage and control these differences.
The Wuhan summit was successful in normalizing ties following the Doklam standoff between Indian and Chinese troops, which lasted about 73 days in the year 2017. The incident was triggered by the Chinese side trying to undertake construction work in the tri-junction area of India, China and Bhutan border. However, after several rounds of negotiations, India and China decided to mutually disengage. The period following Wuhan saw a better, faster communication that prevented border skirmishes and scores of regular, cordial bilateral meetings between Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping on the sidelines of several multilateral events. With inputs from Vipul Agarwal, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The relationship between India and China has been a tumultuous one, marked by several border disputes and even a war. But the fact remains that India was the first non-communist country to recognize People's Republic of China after its proclamation in 1949. But China has time and again claimed parts of Indian territory as its own, resulting in heightened tensions between the two countries. Here's a look at how the relationship evolved between the two countries down the years.
India and China won their independence almost at the same time. While India became independent on 15th August 1947, the People's Liberation Army defeated the Nationalist Party on October 1st, 1949. On 30th October, India became the first non-communist nation to recognize People's Republic of China and in 1950 appointed K.M. Panikkar as the first Indian ambassador to China. In 1954, China and India signed the Panchsheel document, taking India-China relations to a new level. However, China's stand on Tibet came as a disappointment to Nehru and his vision of peaceful coexistence. On 3rd April 1959, India granted asylum to Dalai Lama, who had escaped from Lhasa after China's annexation of Tibet. This was the start of relations taking a bad turn between India and China. India-China conflict over border issues started in the 1950s, with China beginning to occupy parts of Indian territory on China-India border. China launched a massive attack on India on 20th October 1962. The border clash resulted in India's defeat as the Chinese army pushed Indian forces to within 48 kilometers of Assam. The war ended with China declaring a unilateral ceasefire on 21st November and withdrew 20 kilometers behind its contended line of control. Relations between China and India deteriorated during the rest of 1960s and the early 1970s, till India and China decided in 1976 to restore diplomatic relations after a 15-year diplomatic halt. Relations started to thaw in December 1988 with the visit of then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi to China. Several agreements on economy, trade, science and technology were signed during this visit. India-China relations hit a low point once again in 1998 following India's nuclear tests, with China turning into the biggest critique of India's entry into the nuclear club. However, the year 2004 became a milestone on India-China relations. In 2004, both countries proposed opening the Nathula and the Jelipla passes in Sikkim. In the same year, bilateral trade surpassed the $10 billion mark for the first time ever. In April 2005, Chinese Premier Wen Jiabo visited Bangalore to push for increased India-China cooperation in high-tech industries. In 2006, China and India reopened the Nathula Pass for trading after 44 years. In 2010, Wen Jiabo, accompanied by 400 Chinese business leaders, visited India to boost trade between the two countries. In April 2011, during the BRICS summit in China, the two countries agreed to restore defense cooperation. After the summit, China also stopped the practice of administering staple visas to residents of Jammu and Kashmir.
So that's it from us today in depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow now with a focus on some other subject. In case you missed the television broadcast of our program, you can watch it online on YouTube and Twitter, and you can also send in your feedback and suggestions about the program. Thank you for your time.